the ever-changing weather around the world, ever-diverse terrain and roads across the world. With Kumho Tyre that has conquered all, there is no road you cannot go. Go with Kumho. Kumho Tyre.
I ain't playing weak, no, I'm playing for keeps. Can't stop me, I'm a legend. I run with the crew that's making the moves. Get out of the way, we coming through. We got this, never stopping, and we won't lose. No, we can't lose. Yeah! Are you ready? Yeah! We are the legends. We are the legends. Yeah! Are you ready? We are the legends. We are the legends.
The sun is shining, the wind is blowing. We are here for round 2 of split 2 of the V8 Veterans Supercar Series here on iRacing. I am your commentator, Hamish Munro. Welcome to Phillip Island, located around about an hour and a half south of Melbourne, here in a beautiful part of Victoria. It's some of the drivers' home race. It's even going to be one of, if not the best races we've seen so far, I reckon. We are locked in, we are loaded for a fantastic race today. 25 degrees, 55% humidity, partly cloudy, so a very typical tropical weather set sort of for the island today. I am excited as ever. I hope you guys are too, because this could be a fantastic race ahead. Just to give you guys a bit of a recap from last week at Ursula, Mark Houghton taking victory over Troy Sipple. It was an incredible win for him. Can he back it up today? Here we go with the qualifying results here. This is your starting grid. Simon Hedesheed starting on pole position with a fantastic time of 1 minute 28.663. He's joined alongside by Matthew Monday there on the front row in P2. Stephen Greck is in P3. Alongside him is Daniel Webster in P4. Todd Duggan, P5. Alongside him is Alistair Bales in P6. Peter Latham, P7. What can he do today for Shadow Racing? Gary Buckland there in P8. Just behind him is Mark Houghton, last week's winner for Taipan Esports in P9. Glenn Corbett in P10. Damien Cross in P11. Brian Minogue in P12. James Boardman for Infinity Motorsport in P13. Matty McMillan in P14. Adam Simpson, P15. And P16 is Steve Grumpy. In P17 is Dale Carpenter. And then next to him in P18 is Fletcher Christian for Old Mates and Sons. Down in P19, Marty Hansen for Taipan Esports. Then in P20, Darren Goosey for Old Mates and Sons. Scott Weston, P21. What could he do today? Michael Schroeder in P22. Troy Sipple, last week's second place finisher, starting all the way back in P23. Just next to him is Mark Howard in P24. Paul Burns in P25. P26, Michael Power for WK and P Sim Sports. Just behind him is Jonathan Gallen in P28. 7. P28, Brett Taylor. Just behind him, Will Munro for P29. Brett Douglas in P30. Jason McCartan in P31. And P32, Bruce McLeod. And behind them is your race control and safety car driver for today's race. The animosity and the energy is building right now for this race here at Phillip Island. I predict this race is going to go off at some point. We will have to watch it carefully, but we're going to line up on the grid right now. You can see Simon Hedesheed just sitting there, front row, waiting for the lights to go out, waiting for the race to start here at Phillip Island. There's a feeling in the air, an energy almost that is going to lead to something here today. Looking at that beautiful car there driven by Simon, I'm loving the white, black and orange look as we can hear them revving the engines now, getting ready to start. We are go at the island. Great start there from Simon Hedesheed as well as Matty Monday, staying with him very, very well. They're looking fairly tidy here into turn 1. What will happen past here? Got to be careful too. Why Matty Monday and Hedesheed coming through? As they come into turn 2 now, looking nice and tidy, just hopping in behind each other. Not many big movers. Matt McMillan dropped down a couple of spots just further back, but we see Matty Monday going for the move down the inside into Honda. Can he get the move done around the outside of Simon Hedesheed? He does. What a great move there from Matty Monday. But Hedesheed, could he be coming back at him here to try and take the lead back? Round the outside. Oh, they're too wide. Hedesheed takes the lead back from Matty Monday, and these guys are already racing hard here at the island. Just a phenomenal start. Nice, clean racing as they come down the hill now. Up towards the final 2 corners of this fantastic circuit. You know, we talk about moments that have happened at this track. You know, who can forget Russell Ingall's championship-winning burnout on the main straight after he beat Marcus Ambrose? You see a bit of fighting here between Damien Cross and James Boardman, and he's gone sideways! James Boardman with Adam Simpson, and they're fighting. There's a knock! Oh my God! What a shot! What a crash! Lap 1 on the straight. Will we see a safety car? That was massive. Unbelievable. Lap 1, end of lap 1, and we already have a crash like that. Unbelievable. I'm in shock right now. We're keeping an eye here on this front little pack. You can see a train starting to form here just behind Simon, but he is beginning to build a bit of a gap here back to Matty Monday as they come up now towards Hayshed. Up at the top of the hill. Gotta be real careful here, you don't run wide, otherwise you're gonna be ending up in the sand. Coming down now to end the lap. What a start though by Hedesheed to keep this lead, fighting with Monday very early on. As we check out Alistair Bales here in the Cross Continental Motorsport car. Back now to Brian Minogue in that very interesting art car livery. You know, Troy Sipple, Pecky's Performance Racing. What can he do today? He's already up to P14 out of P22, I believe he started. So now go back to Will Munro for Infinity Motorsport. What could he do today? He's yet to have that breakout performance here in the Vets. Could today be his day? Let's go back now. Michael Schroeder for Old Mate and Sons Motorsport. I believe it was one of the Old Mate and Sons cars that actually got driven up onto the wall there in that first lap accident. We need to keep an eye on that, I reckon, throughout the race. See Bruce McLeod from Shadow Racing. Just behind him, Scotty Weston, who is looking really worse for wear right now in his Type N Esports car. He's sitting right up the rear end of Bruce here. Got to keep the pressure on him as we go back up the front now. Here's Matty Monday, P2 for Fishy Motorsports. Just going to go on board here. And my favourite camera angle, this is the roll bar. You can see the wheel work. You can see the footwork of these drivers. See the inputs of how they're just turning the cars, you know, keeping them on track, pushing them where they need to push them. And this is one of the danger zones right here on this circuit. You've got to be careful coming through this corner. You can't light the gas up too hard, too early, or else you can lose that rear end and end up in the sand. He's done that very well there. As we just follow him now down the main straight, just in behind Simon Hedersheed. Hedersheed with a 129.723 that last lap. Monday with a 29.859, so not lapping too far off the pace, but Webster with a great lap that time, a 129.363. As we go back to Dale Carpenter here, who also did a 29, a 29.8. As they come through, a bit of a lock up there. Need to keep an eye on Dale, see if that might be a bit of a recurring thing throughout this race. We have Jonathan Gallen here in the KFC machine, and we go back here, James Boardman, Infinity Motorsport. You see the mark on the side of the car from that first lap sort of incident with Adam Simpson coming through the final corner. Will that lead to something of a review in this race? Who knows? We'll have to find out afterwards. As they come down now towards Honda. You can see it there, that scruffed up Alco holder logo there on the side of the car. I don't know how James will feel about that affecting some of his branding, but I'm sure he'll be all right with it. Let's go on board now. Dale Carpenter rocking the Max Verstappen helmet. I see here. I love this view because you get to see some of the drivers' creativity with the helmets that they might pick, or the suits, and as I said, you get to see the wheel work and the pedal work. It's pretty great. You know, it's one of the best camera angles, I reckon, just to feel and be inside of the car as a passenger. Alistair Bales, Cross Continental Motorsport, number 18, Mustang. He's trying to chase down Todd Duggan right now in his Wheelie Bins Cool Drive livery, or Cool Drive style livery, which I'm loving the blue. The blue's looking fantastic. One thing I will say about this series, and I said it last week, this series is one of the best presented series out there, just based on the liveries, because I love a series when they have professional looking cars that look like actual race cars. You know, they don't look like an art car or anything like that. These cars look like genuine races, and I'm all here for it. As we see Duggan getting attacked here by Bales around the outside, but Duggan sticking to it and just getting past him there, staying in position. But, you know, to all the people who've made these liveries for these guys, or if they have made their own liveries, just a fantastic job to everyone in the league, because, you know, these cars look absolutely fantastic. Stay on board here with Bales coming down now. You know, the camera, that camera angle does great justice for that bit of the track there, because it is super steep. You have other angles, it doesn't look that bad, but you come over the crest and it's like a roller coaster. It's just a drop straight into the corner. See Troy Sippel back in the field a bit, but we go back to Bales there. I think I might have just misclicked then by accident, actually. Go back up to Matty Monday, Fishy Motorsport, number 051 car. He's sort of starting to build a gap here back to Stephen Grech over that last lap. Lapping about 3/10 faster that lap over Grech. So we need to keep an eye on that one as well throughout the race. Just go back to Simon Hedersheed here, our current leader. Started P1, has stayed in P1. Monday started P2, stayed in P2. But what can these guys do? And you know, I spoke about the sense of community last week, and I spoke about the commitment that these guys put in. These guys are genuinely fast racers. These guys, you know, there are some guys in Split 1 who also race in Scops. Like, that just gives you an idea of how fast some of these guys are. They just have immense skill in these cars, and I mentioned how hard these cars are to drive. You know, for over 40s, and to still be racing at such a high level is absolutely incredible. So hats off to everyone in this league, from Split 1 all the way down to Split 3, because these guys do an absolutely phenomenal job. As we see now, Hedersheed coming round final corner. Starting his next lap as we go aboard here with Mark Howard. And we just see a glimpse there of yet another lockup from Dale Carpenter. So we really do need to keep an eye on that. I have to wonder, maybe he's not, if the setup doesn't really suit his brakes on his rig, or maybe he's having some problems with his brakes on his rig. So definitely need to keep an eye out for that. But Mark Howard here, Infinity Motorsport. And I can tell you what, Mark is an incredibly professional guy, and he is completely committed to this series. He just wants to go out there, have a crack, and try and do well. And you know, he can be incredibly fast on his day. So Mark is definitely someone you got to keep an eye on throughout the championship, and he's someone that we will keep an eye on because he could just peak up and get a random podium at some point, and maybe even a random win if he has the right track and car combo. So we really just need to keep an eye on that. See him there coming into Honda. In behind Dale here, he's got Steve Grumpy just in behind in P14. So this is the current battle here for P12. Could be one to keep an eye on throughout the race if these guys can stay together. As we go back up now, Stephen Grech in P3 for Old Mate and Sons. Could he have a breakout moment today? He's got good pace, still in P3. You know, he started towards the front last week. Can he take more of an advantage this week? You know, maybe get on that podium, maybe even get a win here today. You know, he's got good pace in that Mustang. Can he keep his head down and take advantage of it? You know, these are the questions that we've got to be asking ourselves of these fast guys, and we spoke about it last week as well. The level of how close this championship could be. The upper echelon of like the top 15 drivers, any of those guys could win on their day. Even a couple of the drivers below them could get a cheeky podium or a cheeky top 10. So it's an incredibly close championship, and it's going to be one that I'm excited to see play out and to see how the championship standings progress throughout the season. They come up now towards Hayshed. We go on board here with Daniel Webster, Racing Image Motorsport. He's definitely got the matchy going on here. Got the matching helmet to the matching suit to the matching car. He's looking absolutely fantastic here. Cool, calm and collected. Currently in P7, just behind Peter Latham from Shadow Racing. Could he take advantage here today? And I tell you what, there is almost an even split here in the top 20, an 11-9 ratio of Commodores to Mustangs. So that just shows you how close the racing is, and one car's not better than the other, necessarily so. So again, going back to how close this championship can be as we go onto the Nova Sim Sports car of Todd Duggan. And I gotta say, I love this livery. I'm loving the combo of the white, black, and sort of day glow yellow that he's got. And you get it in the right light, you can see the yellow grille happening, and it looks absolutely fantastic, I gotta say. As they come up now around the long sweeping left-hander. Another one of those really tough corners on this circuit, because again, you light it up too quick coming out of that left-hander, and you can just rotate the car way too easily and back it into a wall. So they come round now. Continuing on down the hill. These guys, they're just starting to get into their rhythm now. You know, we're getting closer and closer to the first pit stop period, and then they're going to be in that awkward stage of, you're not quite at the halfway point of the race, but you're just turning laps. You know, you're just trying to keep going and make it towards the end. And those are those moments that really test a driver's ability, concentration, and determination. Jason McCartan. I'll tell you about a great stat about this guy right now. currently in P17, started in P31. He's up 14 spots. Unbelievable effort. Dale Carpenter dropped a couple of spots. He's going a bit slow. He's down in P22. He's just let Will Munro pass him, so I have to wonder if that brake issue is continuing to not service him very well. He's definitely struggling out there at the moment in that car. Go back here, Marty Hansen for Taipan Esports down in P26. I'm loving the black, white, blue and red combination on this car. That Dayglow red looks, I'm just going to say, absolutely sexy. It's such a great colour. I'm loving it on that car. As you see there, the WKMP Motorsports car behind him, which I must say, that WKMP Motorsports car, whoever designed that one, is one of the best looking cars they have ever had. Darren Goosey here, Old Mate and Sons Racing, back in P31. And then Glenn Corbett, Hypersonic Racing, I believe he was a part of that first lap crash as well. I have to wonder if Goosey was actually the one to get mounted up onto the wall in that accident. I think he might have been, because it was an Old Mate and Sons car that we saw crash. Bruce McLeod here, Shadow Racing, P24 at the moment. He's doing quite well. He's come up a couple of spots since we last checked in on him. He was P26, now up to P24. Looking like he's got some good pace. Maybe he could get a cheeky top 20 today. Let's go up to Fletcher Christian, who's currently under pressure here from his teammate in Jason McCartan. They've got James Boardman just in behind, and it's looking like these three guys are going to have a hell of a battle throughout this race. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on this one. I reckon if these guys stick together, they are going to have an immense battle. And I'm loving the gold rims on that Old Mate and Sons car that McCartan's got. Absolutely fantastic. As Boardman goes down the inside of McCartan, can he get the job done here? Bit of blinking from McCartan though. I think Boardman's going to back out of that one, and he does, because, well, the old unknown of Blinky Bill, don't know where he's going to end up, and you don't want to put yourself in danger, so just backing out of that one and saving the fight for another day, I reckon. Get on board here with James. Infinity Motorsports number 7 Commodore. This guy's got great pace. He's always someone you got to keep an eye on. Go back to Bathurst last season, winning in the first race that he ever had in Veterans. So we know that he's got the ability to win a race. He's just got to have the right game plan and the right race to really get it done. But he's definitely an underdog this season. He could do very, very well. Just chasing after McCartan, who gets past his teammate in Christian. I have to wonder if Boardman might get the move done here into turn 2. He's sitting right underneath the wing of Christian there. Might be able to apply the pressure a bit here and possibly get him into Honda. He's going to go down the inside here, though. Is he going to be able to get it stuck? No. Christian just staying ahead. Boardman backing out. Could he go for a bit of a dive bomb? No. Sticking back a bit there. Thinking better of it. As we look back up now, Steve Grumpy, SLS Racing. In that sort of an art car livery, teammate of Brian Minogue. Let's go back up here. Todd Duggan for Nova Sim Sports, the 511 Mustang. He's really caught up to the back here of Greg, and Monday, he might be struggling here. That gap has shortened massively back to Greg, and it's only gained ahead of him to Heddersheed. As Greg, could he make a move here into turn 1? He's dipping and diving, trying to make a move, but does not make a lunge. They got a real sort of train line happening now. A bit of traffic behind Monday. He's really starting to hold these guys up. As Greg, could he go for the dive here into Honda? Oh, he's going to sneak down the inside. I have to wonder if Monday might have just let him go there. Todd Duggan tried to take advantage as well, but there wasn't just enough time. He was a bit too far back then. Take advantage of that. As they come up now towards Hayshed. Around one of the fastest corners on the track. See Grech now, P2. What a great little move there on Monday. Still got a long way to go though. Could be anyone's game. As I said, you can see how much of a train that's starting to build here from P2 back to about P7. I believe it might be. But Header Sheet has just taken off from these guys. He's really started to build the gap, and Grech's going to want to try and break that apart as they come up towards the pit stop. As we go on board now with Matty Monday. Now P3 for Fishy Motorsports. Just want to try and stick with Grech here, keep the pressure on him, try and force a mistake. So they come into Honda now. Oh, might have thought about a bit of a dive, but a little bit too far back. Great footage there. You can see the great wheel work and pedal work as well of Matty Monday. So check back in now with Simon Headersheet, P1. You can see the gap. He's already coming around the last two corners of the track right now. We go back to see this train. That's the gap, folks. He's coming around the final turn. These guys are just starting to come around the second last corner. So he is really hooching now, really starting to build that gap up, staying away from him. Go back here to Mark Howard, just ahead of Adam Simpson. He currently in P12. Oh, as we see on the timing screen there, Monday might have just been a little bit too wide. Alongside Stephen Grech maybe, I'm not 100% sure. As we go back here to Fletcher Christian. P17. He's now been passed by James Boardman, who's trying to chase down Jason McCartan, who's also gotten past Jonathan Gallen. Coming in now into T2. Back here now, Will Munro, P19, finally in the top 20. Up currently 10 spots after starting, I believe it was in P29. So he's doing pretty well right now to move his way through the field. Could be on for a top 15 finish, I reckon, if he can stay in it. Back up now, Jason McCartan. What a race this guy's had. P14 right now. Already up 17 positions. He is really, really moving now. He's the real rock and roller of this race. He is just forcing his way through. Like a man trying to get to the front of a mosh pit. He's just forcing his way through these guys, trying to get farther and farther up the field. See him come around the final corner now. To go on to lap number 16. Let's go back up towards the front here. Matty Monday, P3. I think that gap might be shortening just slightly the header sheet between him and Grech. But Monday is under assault here from Duggan. But these guys, they might just be willing to stay in the slipstream a little bit here. To conserve a bit of fuel, conserve a bit of tyre life, you know, not push the car too hard. You know, they're doing things, you know, the right way right now. Just trying to conserve a little bit. Long way to go. A lot of laps left. You're not going to win it right now. Put yourself in a better position to win it, but you're not going to win it off the back of this for right now. I'll tell you what, guys, we're coming up to the pit stop period. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment after we hear from some of our sponsors.
The ever-changing weather around the world. Ever-diverse terrain and roads across the world. With Kumho Tyre that has conquered all. There is no road you cannot go. Go with Kumho. Kumho Tyre.
We're back here live at Phillip Island for round 2 of split 2 of the VA Veterans as we follow Matty Monday into the pits right now. One of the first to bite coming in, same as Simon Heddersheed, Stephen Grech, Peter Latham, Brian Minogue, Gary Buckland, Mark Outen, all in the pit lane right now. Let's go back to Will Munro, P18, he gained a spot there during the ab break. I believe getting past Steve Grumpy. So that's very interesting to see as he comes into the pits. Just behind Brett Douglas. Let's go up now. Alistair Bales has now taken the lead of this race, but is yet to stop. Yet to take a pit stop. So he controls the race for at the moment. But you have to think without something catastrophic happening, he will not likely retain the lead after this pit stop period. And you see here, Stephen Grech has come out of the pits ahead of Simon Heddersheed. So I have to wonder if Heddersheed might have taken a bit more fuel than Grech. Or just maybe he got caught up in the pits a little bit. It's, again, something to look at there, something to think about in regards to their strategy. As well as that, Matty Monday has dropped a couple of spots there, coming out behind Latham, Minogue, McMillan, Buckland and Duggan. As we go back now, Simon Heddersheed, he's trying to get the move done here on Grech into Honda. He's alongside him. Is he going to get past him just here around the outside? As we go on board with Heddersheed, he's gotten the move done. Good on ya. Simon Heddersheed back into what we would consider as provisional first place as the cars ahead now coming into the pits. Just come down now towards the final corner. Has Scotty Weston gone into the pits? I'm not quite sure here. He has, so Simon Heddersheed is about to reclaim the lead of this race as he goes past the pits. Coming around the final corner now with Stephen Grech just in behind. Comes down the main straight and Heddersheed retains the lead. We continue, lap 19. You see him there just behind Michael Power in the WKMP car. Gets past him nicely on the inside. That is lap traffic. As they come round T2 now. Up now towards Honda. through Honda now. I can see on the relative as well, Steve Grumpy's down in P29. I have to wonder if he might have made a bit of a mistake in the pits or something, because he has lost a heap of spots from when we last saw on the timing table as he was just in behind Will Munro. So I wonder what happened there. So they come round now. Look at that sight. What a great photo opportunity that would be, to see the water in the background, get the cars coming around the corner. So they come up to the top of the hill now, and then down for the roller coaster ride. Through the right-hander. Got to be careful of the curb on the outside. That can always spit you into the tyre wall. Round the left. And now coming down through the final turn here to end yet another lap. As I was saying before the ad break, these guys are now in that awkward stage of the race. You know, you're not quite at the halfway point, but you're just trying to turn laps to keep going here. As Simon comes through T1, he's run wide, he's gone into the grass! Simon Heddersheed out of P1 has gone into the grass here. He's got to be careful of Michael Power of WKP almost coming together there. And I think Simon Heddersheed right now, he is going to get this round's Lawnmower Man Award for absolutely destroying that grass patch. Unbelievable. I'll tell you what, I've done that before myself, and it did not end up as good as it did then for Heddersheed. That could have been way worse. He could have just drilled straight into Michael Power. Could have been race over for both of them there. So he has done very well to pull that up and to stay in this race. As we're now on lap 20. We're going to stay with Heddersheed here for a moment. So as I was saying, these guys, you know, they're now on the awkward stage of this race. They're not quite at the halfway point. Once you get past that halfway point, as we go back up to the brand new leader of the race now, Stephen Grech, once you get past that halfway point, you're then thinking, oh, okay, it's only so many laps to go until that I've got to defend for, and so many more laps that I've got to attack for. And you keep playing that, running that through your mind as you're going lap after lap after lap, especially after that last pit stop period, because you're thinking then, right, no more stops, just hope there's no safety car, just keep pushing to the end. If you're in a good position. If you're in a bad position, then a safety car might actually help you out. But now they're thinking about that throughout the race. As we now come on to lap 21, we're going to stick here with Grech, who's currently under assault from Peter Latham there. And that absolutely gorgeous orange and black car. I'm a real sucker for orange, black and white as a combination. So come down now towards Honda. Could Latham go for a bit of a lunge? Oh, he thinks about it. Not quite far enough up there on Grech. They come up now, round the left-hander. Doing super well to stay clean. And this is one of the reasons why we say, guys, consistency is key. You see Heddersheed making that mistake. He only lost a couple of spots, though. He's down in P4. He's not too far behind this little pack. He could still come back from that. You know, some of these guys might make a mistake. Maybe his strategy's going to come into play as well. So we really need to keep an eye on that one throughout the race, I reckon. So we come now around the final corner. Stephen Grech going to lead us onto the next lap of the race, onto lap 22. Having a phenomenal race so far, doing a phenomenal effort, very, very consistent. Starting in P3, currently P1. Did a 1:30.095 that lap. Lapped about 2/10 faster than Peter Latham. Or actually no, more or less about 0.15 of a second faster that lap. So he's built the gap a little bit, but not too much. So you follow them around now towards Honda. Oh, bit of a lock up there from Steve Grumpy in that SLS machine. Could he be having some problems with the brake bias this week? Underneath the 4 and 20 sign they go. Full gas and attack through the sweeping right-hander. Up towards Hayshed. So go back now. Todd Duggan, P6. He dropped a couple of spots in the pit stop, but he could easily make them up. He's got some great pace going here behind Gary Buckland. Let's go back there. Mark Houghton, P10 for Taipan Esports. One last time out at Östersleben. Having a pretty good race. Mark Howard, P12. He's come up a couple of spots there in the Infinity Motorsport 222 car. He's made some great roads to come this far ahead in this race. Made up quite a few spots. Currently in front of both of his teammates in James Boardman and Will Munro in P15 and P20 respectively. So he's currently leading the charge right now for Infinity Motorsport. Trying to chase down Damien Cross there in that KFC Mustang. As we come on now to lap 23 through turn 1. Bit of the dab of the brake. Nice smooth wheel work up into T2. Long sweeping left-hander, almost a double left. As we now come up towards Honda. Through the left. And then slamming on the brakes once the car's straight and narrow. Around the right. As we go back now, Jonathan Gallen. Just sitting there in behind Michael Schroeder and James Boardman. This is currently the battle for 14th. They're all stuck behind Troy Sipple right now. He's starting to build a bit of a train behind him here today. As a gap is just beginning to build here between Schroeder and Gallen, who is currently up 10 spots in this race. Started P27 up to P17. He's having a great race. Come down now towards the final couple of turns. These guys are having some great little battles here, just trying to stick with each other to have the opportunity to get the overtake done. It's fantastic racing, nice close knit racing here, and I am all for it. It is unbelievably close. As we go to his teammate Damien Cross, Century Motorsports KFC car in the 555 Mustang. Just hear the roar of these cars. Such an unbelievable sound. One of my favourites. Matty Monday down at P7. He's dropped a couple of spots after that pit stop period. So you have to wonder if maybe he took a little bit more fuel than the guys ahead of him. Or maybe he was held up. Brian Minogue up to P3. He's having a great race so far. Made up a couple of spots. Could he take advantage of this? Maybe even get up further up the podium or even onto the top step. As we see here, Bruce McLeod having some problems in that Shadow Racing car. Getting out of the way of these guys. He's going slow for some reason. You see these three guys, they're really hanging together. But you see Heddersheet in the background. He's starting to make some slow gains back up towards the front. So he's definitely got the pace to stay with these guys. As Minogue setting the fastest lap out of the top three there. For that lap time, 1:29.981, but Heddersheet just in behind with a 29.809 that lap, so going even faster. So he is really pushing here to get back up the front. Maybe, I mean, Minogue's teammate right in behind. I know he's going to have blue flag rule here from Heddersheet, but maybe there might be a little bit of team play here. Maybe he's going to block him just a little bit, make it a little bit harder for him to get past. Who knows? Have to keep an eye on that. As they come up now, we go back here to Gary Buckland, old mate and Sons of Motorsports, currently in P6. He's lost a position now to Todd Duggan. So he wants to try and stay with him here to try and get that spot back, I reckon. But they're going to have to, he's going to be careful here about the lap track just up ahead of Bruce McLeod. I don't know if he's going to make it as easy for Todd or not through these corners here, but he might get out of the way for them as they come round. Such a wonderful circuit. One of my favourites. You know, considerably underrated. And it's great for both touring cars and bikes. A great spectacle when the GP's on. Had some great moments in supercars history. As I mentioned earlier at the start of the broadcast, the Russell Ingall burnout after he won the championship. Just an incredible racetrack filled with so much history. And just a great spectacle to watch. You see Duggan here getting past the lap traffic there at Bruce McLeod. Will he let Buckland pass? He does let Buckland pass around the outside. Not making it particularly easy for him, but not making it hard either. So, see there the sun shining onto the grille of Duggan's car, getting that beautiful day-glow yellow showing through. And we see it there perfectly, looking phenomenal. As they come up now, up towards Hayshed. Through the sweeping right. A lot of commitment to come through that corner with as much speed as you can. It's one of the more difficult corners on this track, but this track is known for its sweeping corners, fast and flowing action. Only a couple of hairpins thrown in there for some spice. See Buckland here. Could be under attack here from Matty Monday in a moment. Monday's real eager to make his way back up through the field after losing some spots in that pit stop period. As we come on now, lap 27 for these guys. Let's go back now. Mark Howard, P17 at the moment. He's dropped a couple of spots, so I have to wonder if he might have made a bit of a mistake a little bit since we last checked in on him. He was in P12, so I don't know. He might have just had a bit of an off or something like that throughout, but he can make a good comeback here. He's got good pace and he's doing quite well. Just to let you know what he's... Yeah, I reckon he's had an off that lap. He's done a 1:45.852. So we go back to his teammate Will Munro, just in behind him here as they come through T1. A 30.7 that lap. So he is lapping about a second faster than the cars behind. He's got some great pace going right now. He's definitely not a slow driver. So he just wants to try and keep that speed up and try and make his way through. Jason McCartan, what a story. 19 spots gained so far in this race. Unbelievable effort from him. He's definitely going for a bit of a hard charger award here today. He's only one spot away from making up 20 spots in one race. What an unbelievable effort from him in that 166 Commodore. Just phenomenal. Phenomenal stuff. You'll love to see it. I tell you what, I'm loving that blue and black helmet he's got there, matching the car nicely. Bit of grey detail. As he comes around the final two corners here, trying to chase down Damien Cross in the 555 Mustang. Let's come down the main straight. They're going to start lap number 28. See Gary Buckland up in P6 still yet. He's built that gap back to Matty Monday a little bit here. And he's still sticking with Todd Duggan at the moment. Gary's currently up 2 spots from where he started. So he's having a good race so far. See if he can capitalise on a little bit more. And Dale Carpenter just in ahead. He's really having some trouble this race. We'll check in on him again. He's coming into the inside of the corner. Oh, that brake pedal must be really struggling him or something like that, because he qualified well, but he's just not happy. Let's go back up to Todd here. And we'll just move up to Stephen Grech in the lead. He's currently under attack here from Peter Latham. And Minogue, he wants to try and sit close to these guys because Latham might force a mistake on Grech and then make a mistake himself, and then Minogue's right there in the hot seat to take advantage and take the lead of the race. Come down now through T1. And these guys fighting closer and closer together. It's just phenomenal. It's great to see some great close racing from these guys. Just fantastic. You know, and we talk about how hard these cars are to drive, and these guys are phenomenal. Like, they're driving so hard. Greg having a fantastic race here. Starting from P3 up into P1. Latham up into P2 from P7. Minogue up 9 spots into P3 from P12. So these guys they're rocketing forward right now. They've got a pretty fair gap back to header sheet. I think he might have dropped just slightly from these guys, but he's still within the hunt here. Same as Todd Duggan, same as Buckland, same as Monday. These guys are all still within the hunt because anything can happen. We could have a big accident and have a safety car. I'm surprised we didn't get a safety car after that first lap incident. What happened? That was massive. We'll see the lap times here of these top 4. Greg doing the fastest lap out of all of them, a 30.051 as they come through T1 once again. He's got Latham right up his clacker right now. He's really gained under the brakes there, did Latham. As we go to another ad break, we'll be back in a moment.
The ever-changing weather around the world. Ever-diverse terrain and roads across the world. With Kumho Tyre that has conquered all. There is no road you cannot go. Go with Kumho. Kumho Tyre.
We're back live at the island for round 2 of the V8 Veterans Split 2 race here. Lap 31 at the moment as we now approach the next set of pit stops there. As we see Greg now still leading this race, still leading this little pack of cars. You see header sheet, he's started to close the gap just a touch to Minogue. But these guys really fighting hard at the moment. So on the timing tower there, McCartan already up to P11, but now back down. Oh, he's swapping and changing there with Damien Cross. I see Greg controlling this race, racing hard. Unbelievable effort from this man right now. Go back to Todd Duggan here, P5, Nova Sim Sports. And the 511 Mustang. He's got some pretty good pace today. But he is just beginning to drop a little bit from this front 4. Go back now, Jason McCartan, as I just said, P11, up 20 spots in this race. In the number 166 Old Mate and Sons Kart Lab car. Doing absolutely phenomenal today. A wonderful effort. Unbelievable, in fact. As we see him come round now to start the next lap here. Lap 32. We are now over the halfway point, so the laps are just getting counted down now in the subconscious of these drivers, knowing it's only 1 lap less I've got to attack, or it's only 1 lap less that I've got to defend. As we see one of the cars going off there, I believe... who was it? I believe it was Not Peter Latham, because he's still in P2 at the moment, so I believe it might be his teammate there. And Bruce McLeod, I believe it is, in the Shadow Racing car. See, back to Mark Howard now, P15, just tucked in behind Adam Simpson once again. These guys have been together like glue today. Even Fletcher Christian, he's been around Mark and Adam as well. As you see Mark just teasing the inside there. And Will Munro, what an overtake there down the inside of Damien Cross. What a great overtake. Lap 32 right now into Honda. That was phenomenal. So they come around now up towards Hayshed. Just a dab of the brakes there up the hill, round the left-hander. Over the crest and down the roller coaster ride into the right-hander. The first of the double lefts. As they come round for yet another lap. So we're only a couple of laps away now for the start of this next pit stop period. It'll be interesting to see how the strategy's played out as we go back to Scott Weston for Taipan Esports GMK Logistics car, number 52, or 052. That car looking real worse if we were on the front of it, but it's probably had a little bit of, he's just chugging along right here, P20 at the moment. He's still going pretty well. Got some good pace in the top 20. He's doing pretty good. As I said, that car looking real banged up. Oh, running just a little bit wide out there towards the curb. Needs to be careful of that throughout the rest of this race. Only 24 laps to go, or 25 laps really. So he's just got to keep that in the back of his mind. You see in the timing tower there, Hedershe just did a 30.0. He is lapping significantly faster than the three cars ahead of him. As we go on board here with Damien Cross on the roll bar cam. Century Motorsports KFC 555 car. Currently in P12. About 2.5 seconds behind McCartan. About 3-4 seconds ahead of James Boardman, I think it might be. Oh no, I think it's 1.75 seconds, or maybe something like that rather. He had 31.2 that lap, so I think that might actually be his fastest lap of the race so far. About 2.5 seconds now back to Boardman, so he's kind of right in the middle of that little sandwich happening. See Simpson now. He's got a bit of a gap back to Howard, but he just gets closed up under brakes. He's got a bit of a gap here in front of him to Christian, so he really needs to put the hammer down here. Try and get that Fishy Motorsports car a bit further up the field, I reckon, in the number 122. He's currently where he started though, so anywhere past here is going to be a bonus or an improvement for him. So he's doing well to stay out of trouble so far and stick to where he started. He's got Mark Howard just in behind, up 8 spots I believe it is, and just behind him Will Munro up 12 spots. A great race for Will so far in P17. Go back up now, Simon Hedershe, P4. Got some incredible pace going at the moment. Oh, bit of a slide there, bit of a tail wiggle. Out of turn 2. Down towards Honda now. Slams on the brakes, a bit late there, but had the power to stop their car. As they come up now towards the bay. Around the long left. Nice and smooth through there. Up through the long right-hander. Up towards Hayshed. Oh, rubbing the dirt a little bit there, rubbing the grass. Got to be careful of that, Simon. Coming down now. Oh, bit of a slide. That was what I was talking about. You got to be careful through that corner. It can be really, really dangerous through there. As he comes around now, the final corner. To start his next lap, lap 36. See a bit of lap traffic there just up ahead. Oh, Paul Burns. Just on board here with Simon now on the roll bar cam. Oh, he's just mega quick through there, isn't he? So contained. So cool, calm and collected as he goes around the outside of Paul. And comes up now towards Honda. Hard on the brake. Oh, bit of a slide up in the rear end there under brakes. Caught it well, did really, really well there to catch that. Down to second gear now for the left-hander. Bit of a slide through there. As I said, that's one of those other corners you've got to be real careful. Going to go all the way up now to 5th. Possibly even climb up to 6th before he gets up to Hayshed. Hard on the brakes though. Doesn't cut the grass this time. Let's go up now, Stephen Grech. And he has got Latham right up his clacker. As Grech, the first to come into the pits now, the leader is in, as Latham now takes control. So lap 36, going on to 37. As we see Peter Latham. Now taking control of this race. Comes now down towards Honda. Hard on the brakes there. You see Minogue hard on the brakes as well. Header sheet. He's starting to push now. He knows he's got to try and close the gap here if he wants to try and get past these guys in the pits. Just starting to push up to the top of the hill now is Peter Latham. He wants to try and push before he comes into the pits, try and build that gap up back to Grech to hopefully try and jump him in the pits there. Grech down in P14 now after the pit stop. As Latham is going to go on another lap. And Minogue has gone in. Brian Minogue has now gone in the pits, and now it's Latham to Heddersheed. So come around, turn 2, nice and controlled. Just sweeps it in towards Honda. Like a good cleaner sweeps a broom, he just sweeps it round the left. Coming up now towards the bay. Long left-hander. We see Minogue is going to come out. I think Minogue's actually come out ahead of Grech. He has. Brian Minogue has jumped Stephen Grech in the pits. We see it here. We go on board. There he is. Just ahead of Stephen Grech. So that's great strategy by Minogue there. Getting the job done. Doing the overcut. Absolutely fantastic. So now Brian Minogue would be, as Latham now coming into the pits, as Heddersheed stays out for yet another lap. Minogue is now in provisional first place ahead of Grech. Oh, what about Heddersheed running up the backside there of Bruce McLeod of Shadow Racing. What has happened there? Unbelievable! Will this affect him in any way? Will this affect the speed? Will this affect the ability to be able to drive that car? What will it mean for the pit stop? Will he get an optional? Will he get required? Unbelievable. The man who currently sits in P1, yet to pit, as Peter Latham coming out of the pits now. Is he about to come out in front of Minogue and Grech? Gets passed by Christian. Latham has retained... No, he's still behind Minogue. So Minogue picks him, so does Grech coming out of the pits. There's a standby with header sheet here. I wonder when he will come in. Lap 39. This almost guarantees that he took more fuel than Grech did, hence why Grech took the lead out of the pits. Let's see the timing board there, so you can see the time that it took them in the pits and how long it took them in the lane. So that number on the left-hand side next to the number of the car is the number to be aware of. If you look down at the bottom of the screen, or if you look at the timing table, if I can get it up here in just a moment, look at the gap that this man currently has over them. He wants his gap to be about between 50 and 54 seconds to guarantee that he's going to get out ahead of Minogue. It's currently at 45 seconds. So he's going to need to push a little bit harder if he really wants to get out ahead of Minogue here into P1 after that pit stop. So header sheet racing hard here, although in saying that, when he does pit, he might be able to take a little bit less fuel because there's not going to be so long to go. So it could be some great strategy or a great strategy play by header sheet. We'll have to find out. This comes around Honda now for the fully served United car. Let's see, Christian has now gone into the pits, so is Jason McCartan, so is Todd Duggan, and so is Damien Cross. So Minogue now up into P6, still in provisional first. He's got Boardman ahead, Webster, Bales, and Matty Monday. I doubt those guys are going to be able to get up the front at this point from a pit stop, unless, of course, something massive happens, or we get a safety car or something. Let's head a sheet now. Rounds the final 2 turns. Is he going to come in just yet? He's gone for yet another lap. He's going to go on to lap 41 here, so he must be getting low on fuel now. He has gone a full... He's going to be going a full 5 laps more than what Grech did, 4 laps more than what Minogue did. So he definitely took a fair bit more fuel in that last pit stop than those guys. Or he's just done super well to conserve throughout this race. The gap now back to Minogue is still roughly 45 seconds, so he's got to try and push to get that gap up. I don't know if he's going to be able to gain 10 seconds in one lap, though, if he even does pit this lap. And there's no way he can make it to the end at this stage. Latham there, a 129 that last lap. So he's really pushing it to get back up the front. A 29.8 that was. He has really put his foot to the floor. Let's see header sheet now. Down towards the final 2 turns. Will he come into the pits this lap as we go back to Will Munro, P21? He's starting to gain a bit of speed right now, a bit of time. As I believe header sheet has actually stayed out once again. Let's go back to Troy Sipple, P26 for Pecky's Performance Racing. We'll just check out some of the cars at the back here. Header sheet at 130.128 that last lap, so he is starting to push here as he goes on to lap 42. Still yet to pit. Michael Power, P28 for WKMP Sim Sports. That's a great looking car. Bruce McLeod, P31. We saw the accident that he had on the front straight there just earlier with Simon Heddersheed. I have to wonder how that eventuated, as he's just in behind Mark Howard here, who's 10 spots ahead of him in P21, so a bit of lap traffic behind Mark. as he has Will just in front of him in P20. So a couple of teammates hanging out together here, trying to pull each other forward. As see James Baldwin, the other Infinity Motorsport car from P5 coming into the pits. The number 7 Commodore. Be interesting to see where he comes out and if he can take advantage. Because there's Brian Minogue, P5. He is the provisional leader at the moment. Currently before the pit stops. Can he retain the lead when Hedesheed goes in? As he is now Hedesheed coming. That's the gap. He's coming up to Hayshed whilst Minogue was coming through turn 2. So a hell of a gap. Will Hedesheed come in this lap? He stays out once again onto lap 43. This is phenomenal. The first guy out of that top 4 to go in the pits was Stephen Grech. That was on lap 36. He has now gone 6 laps more, and it will now be 7 as he goes around for lap 43. Unbelievable, the strategy play by this guy. Will it play off for him? You can feel the animosity as we're coming into the final 14 laps of this race. Will he pit? Will he come out in first? Will he come out in second? Will he come out third or fourth? Will someone... What is going to happen? It is absolutely insanity. Will there be a safety car? Will there be an accident? Who knows at this point? It is phenomenal racing from these guys. Unbelievable stuff. And I am just so intrigued by this strategy play. Latham a 29.8 once again that lap. He is lapping 3/10 faster than the 2 cars around him in Grech and Minogue. As Minogue, he's gone off into the grass. Brian Minogue out of provisional first place in the sand. Get your bucket and spade out, boy. You are the bucket and spade award winner for this round. That is terrifying for him. Such a shame. He was having a great race, but he's still in this thing. Currently P7, couple more seconds back now. You have to think, though, that Hedesheed's now actually going to come out. As Hedesheed now comes into the pits, you have to think he's going to come out in front of Minogue now that he's 54 seconds behind him. So Hedesheed into the pits. Keep an eye on Peter Latham. Will he take control of this race past Hedesheed? I believe Bales has actually stayed out. So he's not coming in the pits. Bales is just taking the lead of Hedesheed. Monday's also coming, so keep an eye on Peter Latham here. Keep an eye on the timing tower. Webster's also stayed out. So Hedesheed currently in the pits. Keep an eye on this. Will he come out in front of Peter Latham, or will Peter Latham take the lead of this race? Coming round. Final corner now. The time is ticking down. 400 metres. 350 metres. 300 metres. 250. Hedesheed's on the exit. Hedesheed. He's come out of the pits. Hedesheed is retained. He stayed in front of Latham. What a play! Coming out of the pits in P3 behind Webster and Bales, who are yet to pit. If he can keep this clean, Hedesheed is about to retain the lead of the race that he lost off a mistake by going into the grass. I gave him the Lawnmower Man award, and he's going to retain the lead. Unbelievable. A 51.6 second travel down the lane. 4 seconds faster than what Latham's was. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You can feel it. You can feel it in your bones, the intensity of the race. These guys are pushing so hard to try and retain the lead. He's just, I'm lost for words that he has done that. What a strategy play. As we see Bales and Webster come into the pits now, and Hedesheed is about to rightfully take the lead of this race. I mean, what an effort to do that, to race an extra 7 laps than when the first guy out of the top 4 came into the pits, and to retain the lead of the race out of that. Doing a massive overcut. The overcut works. They always talk about the undercut working. Well, the overcut just worked to perfection right then and there. He went from P4 before the pit stops all the way to P1. And you want to talk about shuffling of the grid? before the pit stops, Greg P1, I believe it was Latham P2, Minogue P3, Hedeshid P4. After the first pit stop, Greg was behind Minogue. Then Latham was behind Minogue. Minogue then makes a mistake. Latham takes provisional first place, and then Hedeshid, through all of that, comes out of the pits still in the lead of the race. Still in the lead of the race. It's unbelievable what this guy has just done. And if he can keep his race clean for the next 12 laps, he's going to call himself a race winner here in V8 Veterans. He's building a hell of a gap now back to Latham. As you can see on the bottom of the screen there, we've just put up some pit stop analytics there, so keep an eye on that. Check that out if you really want to. That was the stint margin, I believe it was, or how long the stint took. But just unbelievable stuff from Hedeshid. What a race! I mean, it might not have explosive crashes and heaps of safety cars, but what is making this race amazing at this point? You see Michael Schroeder, I believe, has just got off. He has there, just into the sand. What has made this race insane and amazing is the strategy plays. That is just as exciting to me as seeing crashes and change of positions and safety cars, because it shows how much time and effort's been put into the race. How much time and effort these guys have put into learning how important a strategy actually is. And to see it play out to perfection is incredible. It's unbelievable. So now go back, Gary Buckland, P8, Old Mate and Sons, Matty Monday in P9. I know we've just spent a heap of time on Hedeshid, but let's check out the rest of the field for a moment here. Boardman P12, the Infinity Motorsport car. He has really risen up the ranks here today. Only up one position, but he's been back and forth throughout the grid. McCartan up 20 spots in this race. Mark Howard, P15 right now for Infinity Motorsport. I just want to take a second to talk about in a moment once we've gone through the field, but Gallen now, P18. Munro, P19 for Infinity Motorsports. He's got his mate Scotty Weston just in behind. Brett Douglas there, P21. And I heard last week the story behind the livery of this car, and it was absolutely phenomenal. They spoke about it on the Split 3 broadcast in the driver's lounge about the meaning behind the car, behind the livery and the colours and stuff, and I thought it was fantastic. Glenn Corbett involved in that lap 1 crash. Down in P30, still rotating though. But yeah, if you want to hear that story about, or the reasoning behind the livery, go check out last week's driver's lounge. You'll hear it. Michael Schroeder now, P27 into the pits. Scotty Weston, P20. Type N Esports, GMK Logistics. He's still rotating, having a pretty good race as well. He's got a bit of damage fixed on that car, so I reckon he took a bit of a fix when he went into the pits. For sure. We'll just check out the inside of the roll bar now. He's got the all-white look going on, looking phenomenal. Let's check out his helmet as well with the little helmet graphic there. I love checking out these guys' helmets, you know. Just show the character of the driver to see what they chose or what they picked and what they liked. So you see here his helmet, but as I was saying before, I think the question comes down at this point to from the driver of the day. We will discuss it later on, but I think your two headliners right now is Simon Hedeshid and Jason McCartan, because those two guys, phenomenal race so far for two completely different ends of the spectrum. Latham definitely up there as well. So these guys are really fighting hard. Minogue has dropped a couple of spots I just see on the timing tower. He's down into P6, so I have to wonder if he made another mistake, as Hedeshid has done a 29.2. So now we focus on Will Munro once again, Infinity Motorsports number 74 Mustang. And I will say this, you'll notice throughout the season he'll change his car sometimes depending on how he feels, if he thinks the Mustang's better, if the Commodore's better. So we could almost run a bet of, will Will run the Stang this week or will he run the Commodore? I'll leave you guys to decide in the chat if you want to run a pool. Damien Cross, Century Motorsports, P13 in the Triple Thrive KFC Mustang here. You can tell it's his car because it's got the bright yellow wheels looking like KFC nuggets. Oh, love a bit of Dirty Bird. Phenomenal. See Todd Duggan P7 right now. Justin for Nova Sim Sports. Justin behind Brian Minogue. Todd having a great race. He's down 2 spots, but he's stayed within the top 10. He's been very, very consistent today. Could be on here for quite a nice little finish if he can stick to it. Let's come around the long left-hander. Just rocketing up towards Hayshed now. Trying to stick right underneath the wing of Brian Minogue. He wants to keep the pressure on him to force the mistake. We saw it happen earlier. Could we see it happen again? As we see them now forcing their way round the final turn to come on to lap 49. Go on, Bordy, let's check out Todd's helmet. I'm loving that helmet. That looks fucking sick. That looks amazing. I had to send to myself a little bit there. I'm loving that helmet. That looks great. Reminds me a little bit of like a space mixed with almost Aboriginal art vibes. It's looking phenomenal. I love it. Loving the yellow. I've always loved yellow helmets. I run a black and yellow helmet as well. You would have noticed earlier the helmet that Will was running, the blue and yellow helmet. Mine's the same, but instead of the blue, I have black. So, yeah, I always love a yellow helmet. Looks great. Just see him here. The wheel work through Honda. Looking like he has a pretty nice race suit as well. So come up now. Around the corners here. And I'm going to tell you this, guys. There are some absolutely, speaking of helmets just for a moment, there's absolutely incredible helmets out there on Trading Paints. If you haven't got a custom helmet on your driver, do yourself a favour, get on Trading Paints and find something, because it makes you look so much better. As Minogue there ran a bit wide. He's kind of just let Duggan go past him. I have to wonder if he caught that curb. But we mentioned it earlier. You hit that curb on the left-hand side, it can just spit your car out. You've got to be incredibly careful of that happening, as we're now on lap 58 laps to go here. As we're edging closer and closer towards the end of this race. You see Alistair Bales now, Cross Continental Motorsport, in his wheelie bins car. Simon Heddersheed back up the front now, Fully Served United, number 053 car. He's having a phenomenal race. He's already built the gap out now back to Peter Latham, down up to about 3.3 seconds here. He's doing phenomenal. Unbelievable effort. So now comes down the hill. Through the right-hander. Go back here. There's Peter Latham, P2, just in behind Troy Sipple now. Bit of lap traffic for him, so that's the gap. You saw Heddersheed just to the left of screen there, coming through or the second to last corner there. As now Latham comes around in his Commodore. Great effort right there from these guys. Heddersheed a 130.3 that last lap. Latham a 130.422. Grech a 130.702 that last lap. So, ooh, Bales with a 29.9. What a great lap from him last time round. Webster 30.266. Let's go back now. Mark Houghton there, P10. There's McCartan, P11. Up 20 spots, and he's got Boardman right up his clacker. I said to you earlier in the race, these guys have been together, and they are sticking together like glue. Oh, as Boardman runs slightly wide there. These guys are having a real paper mache of a battle throughout this race. They're just stuck together. They can't seem to get away from each other. As they come round, I mean, I said it, that's for on the broadcast. McCartan right now, he is at the top of the list alongside Heddersheed for driver of the day for me. He is doing an absolutely phenomenal job. unbelievable. 20 spots gained in a single race. Surely that's got to be some kind of record here in Vets for a hard charger. Surely it is. I have to wonder, honestly. As we come down now through towards the final couple of corners once again to finish off yet another lap here. 52 has started as header sheet has gone through, but these guys are just finishing off 51. Powering it round the final corner as we just look back up. Matty Monday, P8 here for Fishy Motorsports in the 051 car. There's Minogue, P7 just ahead. And there you see Duggan in P6 just ahead of him. Minogue, though, should be proud. He's had an incredible performance so far. Up a couple of spots from where he started. He's having a great race. You know, a couple of little moments here and there. All in all, though, he's done very, very well today. Big, big props. He's come through Honda now. Duggan with a really wide line. As they just keep on rotating. Coming up now towards Hayshed. Todd Duggan just ahead in that gorgeous Dayglow yellow, white and black car for Nova Sim Sports. There's Bales. Cross Continental Motorsport number 18 Mustang. We're on the roll bar cam right now. Check out his helmet as well. We'll just get rid of the timing tower for a moment here, and we'll sit back and we'll have a bit of a listen to the Stang. Oh, I love that sound. Unbelievable. Unbelievable stuff. Just letting you guys know as well, you probably noticed it by now, I am actually in the chat at the moment trying to respond to some of your messages because this race was pre-recorded. As you see Todd Duggan there, Nova Sim Sports, P6. Because currently as I record this, it's 3:10 in the morning, so we're definitely not live. But I will be there watching alongside you guys and in the chat as well, having a bit of a chat about the race, so it'd be real great as well to have a chat to you guys. We're on lap 53 now. Nearly towards the end, only as we start lap 54, as header sheet has just crossed the line. 4 laps to go now. Getting closer and closer to the end of this race. You know, and these guys, once again, they're counting in the back of their heads. They're like, oh, it's only a couple more laps I've got to defend, or it's only a couple more laps I've got to attack as we go back to Mark Houghton. Winner last time now at Urschersleben for Tyre and Esports. He's pushing hard, wanting to get further and further into the top 10. He's got McCartan, the hard charger of this week, just tucked in behind him there in P11. Could he go for an attack here? Maybe a bit of a lunge. His best bet probably into Honda if he can get close enough. Oh, he's thinking about the outside, but he backs out of it at the last moment there. Really is trying to move his way forward, to get forward, get further up the field as they come into Honda now. Phenomenal stuff. Absolutely phenomenal. I gotta say, it's incredible. Great racing, great strategy play. Phillip Island has put on an incredible race so far. It's always been one of those tracks that's just fun to drive and can be fun to watch as well. And I've had an absolute blast watching this race play out. Insanity. Insanity. But guys, we're going to take one final ad break. before the last couple of laps here. Lap 55's just started. We'll be back with you in a minute.
The ever-changing weather around the world. Ever-diverse terrain and roads across the world. With Kumho Tyre that has conquered all. There is no road you cannot go. Go with Kumho. Kumho Tyre.
Welcome back to Phillip Island as we got 2 laps to go. We start lap 56 now, on board with the leader of this race, Simon Hedesheed. 4.5 seconds back to P2, Peter Latham. Then we might just focus on Simon here for the final 2 laps of this race. As he makes his way round. See the gap there, back to Latham. About 4 seconds. Comes down now hard on the brakes into Honda, wanting to keep it nice and clean, nice and tidy. Over these last 2 laps, worst time to make a mistake in the race. He just needs to keep it straight and narrow for these last couple of kilometres, and he will be a race winner in V8 Veterans. Comes up now towards Hayshed. Oh, bit of a squirrel there. Down the roller coaster of a hill. Through the right. Down through the double left. Got to be careful through here. Bit of a danger zone. Keeps it tidy. Around the final corner now, and Simon Hedesheed is about to start the final lap of this V8 Veterans race around Phillip Island. There it is, lap 57. White flag is out. Let's go racing for one more lap. Up now through turn 2, only a handful to go. Down through Honda. Gotta be careful here. Nice and tidy, nice and crisp. About halfway through the lap now as he comes up through the very dangerous long left. Keeps it nice and tidy through there, well done. Up towards Hayshed now, round the sweeping right-hander. And up to the top of the hill. Bit on the brakes there. Quick little dab right on the apex. Perfect cornering. Oh, bit of a slide right out sideways down the hill. Comes through danger zone now. Needs to be careful as he comes round. Flicking the tail out a bit. Just saves it there. Through the final corner now. It's Hedesheed. Simon Hedesheed is a race winner as he wins here for round 2 of the V8 Veterans here at Phillip Island. Absolutely phenomenal. As we go back now through the field, here's Mark Houghton up to P9 now for Taipan Esports. He's got McCartan just in behind him. P10 up 21 spots here. Here's Boardman as they come through the final couple of corners now. They're right up next to each other. Boardman, though, out wide into the grass. Oh, no, and he comes on track. Oh, and he hits Brett Taylor, the back marker. Up, and he's got Buckland just in behind, but I think Buckland might have just let him go there as Boardman continues on. I have to wonder if there might be a bit of a penalty in place there. Not 100% sure though, as he comes across the line, finishes P11, Buckland P12. Back to Christian and Howard now. As I said, these guys have stuck together throughout the whole race. As they come in the final corner now, I don't think Howard's going to get him though. I think Christian's going to hold on to P14, Howard P15 respectfully. Phenomenal racing as Hansen in P17 for Type N Esports just finishes in behind there. As Sewell Munro down the inside, Scotty Weston on the final lap. Oh my God, he hits him. He knocks him into the grass and the sand. Oh, and he hits the tyres, just pushing him out of the way. Munro in P19. But you have to wonder if a penalty's going to come from that, because that was pretty rude on the final lap of the race. Just a big old dive bomb, smack him out of the way. Come on, William. You knew better than that. Unbelievable stuff, guys. Unbelievable. What a race. What a race. There he is, Simon Heddersheed. What a phenomenal race. I'm just going to say, guys, it's a tie for driver of the day today. Heddersheed, your winner. He gets it. So does Jason McCartan as well. Let's go through your race results now. Simon Heddersheed outlasts the other drivers to finish in P1, finishing where he started. Latham in P2 there for Shadow Racing. Stephen Grech, where he started, he finished P3 for Old Mate and Sons. Alistair Bales there for XCM Cross Continental Motorsport. As he gets in there, P5 Daniel Webster for Racing Image Motorsport. P6 Todd Duggan. P7 Brian Minogue. P8 Matty Monday down a couple of spots from where he started for Fishy Motorsports, as P9 is taken over by Mark Houghton for Type N Esports. Jason McCartan, 21 spots gained in that race. Unbelievable. Old Mate and Sons there in P10. Boardman for Infinity Motorsport, P11. Gary Buckland in P12 for Old Mate and Sons. P13 Damien Cross for Century Motorsports. P14 Fletcher Christian for Old Mate and Sons. P15 Mark Howard for Infinity Motorsports. Adam Simpson comes in P16 there for Fishy. 17 Marty Hansen. P18 Jonathan Gallen. P19 after we saw that ridiculous pass on Scotty Weston from Will Munro there. And then we see just in behind him is Douglas in P20. Scott Weston P21. P22 Troy Sipple, a bit far down from last week and when finishing P2. Matt McMillan P23. Paul Burns P24. Grumpy in P25. Darren Goosey in P26. Brett Taylor in P27. Michael Power in P28. Glenn Corbett there in P29. Michael Schroeder P30. Bruce McLeod in P31. And finishing it out 25 laps down, Dale Carpenter in P32. What a phenomenal race, guys. Unbelievable here from Phillip Island. Next week, we go to Road Atlanta for the Balin Stewart Memorial Round. We hope to see you all there. I've been Hamish Munro. Thank you so much for your time and your patience. We'll see you next time for V8 Veterans. Catch you later.